Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 18, text number 44. Tadadyanaha papam upaiti ananvayam yannastanatasya vasor vilumpakat parasparam gnananti shapanti vrinjate pashun striyo arthan purudasa vojanaha. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Translation. Due to the termination of the monarchical regimes and the plundering of the people's wealth by rogues and thieves, there will be great social disruptions. People will be killed and injured, and animals and women will be stolen. And for all these sins, we shall be responsible. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The word naha, we, is very significant in this verse. The sage rightly takes the responsibility of the Brahmanas as a community for killing monarchical government and thus giving an opportunity to the so-called democrats who are generally plunderers of the wealth of the state subjects. The so-called democrats capture the administrative machine without assuming responsibility for the prosperous condition of the citizens. Everyone captures the post for personal gratification, and thus, instead of one king, a number of irresponsible kings grow up to tax the citizens. It is foretold herein that in the absence of good monarchical government, everyone will be the cause of disturbance for others by plundering riches, animals, women, etc. In this verse, Shamika Rishi is regretting the act of his son Shringi, who had cursed Parikshit Maharaj, a great devotee king, Parikshit Maharaj, to die within 7 days by a snake bite. And here he is taking the responsibility. It is very interesting to see that the sage was neutral in his decision making. Although it was his son who had committed the mistake, he never went back in pointing out mistakes at his son. This is devotee. He is equal to everyone. Either he is an enemy or friend. He is equal and he is neutral in his judgment. For him, it is the Lord and his desires that matters and nothing else. Shamika Rishi regretted that Parikshit Maharaj was such a great king. He was a devotee king. He was a Raja Rishi. And as a king, he didn't sit on his throne to enjoy power and position and opulence. He did his duty well as a devotee king to keep all the people under him in a peaceful condition so that they could utilize their time for elevating in their consciousness. And he saw that in the absence, he forethought that in the absence of such a great king, the society will be devastated. You can see that condition already in the society now. The current leadership, as Prabhupada says in the purport, is mostly interested in occupying the post for personal gratification, sense gratification. That is a prime necessity for the current day leaders. When they do publicity, propaganda, they promise sense gratification and they also expect gratification in return. Nobody is trained spiritually. Although some people go to temples, although they may make statements that they want to promote spirituality, without sufficient training, without the guidance of the devotees, these kind of statements remain superficial. Deep within, their desire is gratification. And because of such leaders, people also feel that their happiness lies in gratification. They think sense gratification, bodily gratification, luxury is the prime necessity of life that will give us happiness. And because of this, most of them, or in fact every one of them, become self-centered. They think my bodily happiness is most important from me. It is a prime necessity for me. And the result of such a consciousness is there will be thieves. Like Prabhupada says in the purport, this kind of consciousness creates disturbance in the society and there is plundering of riches, animals, women and etc. Last few days you would have been hearing the alleged controversy of adulterated ghee used for making temple prasad. Become a big controversy, lot of debates happening. Why this is happening? It is because for people, the most important requirement is their gratification, sense gratification. And just yesterday in Rajasthan, there was a student who went to the teacher and said, my father is such a powerful man. He is such a big man. He has a lot of money. And he started showing his power and money and trying to control the teacher. And this video has gone viral. In Kerala, in a busy road, it was a broad daylight. A person was going in his car. He had some jewelry with him worth 1.5 crores. 4 cars surrounded him in the highway, all people around. They just kidnapped him, stole the gold. And still the police are yet to catch the culprit. So this is the result of absence of a ruler who is God conscious. This shows that the ruler is weak. He is weak in spiritual consciousness. In fact, Prabhupada says the rulers are empowered by Lord. If the rulers are qualified, certainly they'll be helped by Lord. But when the rulers turn away from Vedic scriptures and they get into personal gratification, they assume power to satisfy their personal desires, that is when all the problems arise. The thieves grow in society. Unless there is heart transformation by force, by the force of law, by the force of police, it is not possible to control these thieves. In fact, Bhagavatam says that Lord has given the opulences in this world so that we all can utilize it and comfortably practice spiritual life. But unfortunately, we take all the opulences given by the Lord and use it for personal gratification, sense gratification. And this is the mistake. Dharma, artha, kama, moksha. We have to do dharma. Sometimes people think dharma means there is no kama. No. Dharma means there is no artha. No. In fact, dharma will lead to artha. And Krishna is telling, use this artha. Use it for your gratification, but as much as required for you to grow spiritually. As much as it required. Not use this absolutely for your gratification and completely forget about the Lord. And then use it and moksha, become God consciousness. This is very, very important. And this point is missing in this society. That is why in the Vedic culture, there was this Varnashrama system where the society was divided, trained, given the responsibility so that people grow spiritually through the system automatically. Krishna had formed different sections in a society and gave them responsibility. He wants people to be responsible, accountable, liable, answerable. And that's why each of them, Krishna gave a responsibility. Some people are supposed to study the Shastras, become thorough and guide the society. Some people have to make sure that what these great devotees say is implemented in society. While you have to live in this society, so you need artha. So some people are trained to earn, to do commerce, to do trade, to take care of all the animals, to take care of everybody so that we can peacefully perform our devotional service. And not everybody is self-driven. So some people are trained to help all others. Well, nobody is lower here. Because in each of this division, one common thing is all of them get the equal opportunity to reach the common goal, which is Krishna consciousness. It is just that the cooperation is required. In fact, in Bhagavatam, it is said the cooperation is required not only in the human society, it should be required even in we should learn to live in harmony with animals, plants, insects, everybody. Each and every living entity in this world has a role to play. In fact, there was an article recently which said, if tigers and leopards and this carnivorous animals doesn't exist on this planet, in fact, they speak of tigers and leopards, there won't be life on earth. They have done some analysis and they've proven. Anyway, this is also in line with Bhagavatam's statement where everybody has the right to live and everybody has the right to contribute for the overall development of society. Some species contribute directly and some species contribute indirectly. In fact, Bhagavatam says the word praja. Praja means not just human beings. Praja means it is also animals, it is the birds, it is insects, it is the plants, trees. Every living entity is praja. So the king is duty bound to give protection to all of these people. It is not just for humans. That is why the king's duty is to make sure that every one of them do the assigned duties as per their natural inclination. If there is crisscrossing, if unqualified people become rulers, then the society becomes chaotic. That is why kings are trained to culture the society. Very, very important that we take culture. We are cultured. And one of the cultural aspect is giving protection to 5 kinds of species or 5 kinds of people. Protection. Who are they? Number 1, yes, cow. Because Prabhupada says cow's milk has all the nutrients which is required for us to survive. Cow is like the mother. Prabhupada says by drinking milk, we develop spiritual cells to understand Gita and Bhagavatam. One is cow, then Brahmanas. Yes, we need somebody to read, guide us, because everybody is giving opinions in this world. But we want to know what is the right opinion so that we'll succeed. How do we stop theft? How can women walk freely, fearlessly, even in the dead of the night in the society? We need a solution. So those solutions are given in Shastras, and it's the Brahmanas who study and give. Again, Brahmanism is not birth Brahmanism, it is the quality. Okay, next. Women, yes, they also need, yes, no doubt they are also qualified for growing spiritually. They also have all the rights. At the same time, they are vulnerable. You hear reports of men harassing women. You don't see the other way. So, yes, next. Children, they're very innocent. They're ready to learn and they need guidance. And unfortunately, you will see how even the children are harassed in society now. It's a very precarious condition. Yes, then old people. Old people are, yes, physically they're weak. So they should be given all the facilities because that is the last stage of their life. They should be given all the facilities so that they can peacefully practice spiritual life and attain the perfection of life. In fact, in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself demonstrates how devotees should help the elders in practicing devotional service so that they can attain the perfection in this life itself. There is a devotee by name Raghunatha Bhatta Goswami. He is a wonderful devotee. He is one of the Shat Goswamis, the principal disciples of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He was living in Varanasi. His father was Tapan Mishra. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to the North India tour, when he reached Varanasi, he was received by Tapan Mishra and Raghunatha Bhatta Goswami. In fact, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu lived in the house of Raghunatha Bhatta Goswami. Raghunatha served Chaitanya Mahaprabhu very nicely. Raghunath was very good cook. He said his paka, was like amrita. His food was like amrita, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to like it and used to enjoy it and used to personally massage the feet of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And then he was also a good reciter. Very melodiously he recites Bhagavatam. And he used to recite and Chaitanya used to enjoy. And after the tour, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went back to Jagannath Puri. And Tapan Mishra was very pleased with the service rendered by his son. And his son requested, Father, whether I can go to Jagannath Puri and take more association. He gladly agreed. He came to Jagannath Puri. When Chaitanya saw Raghunath Bhatt, he was so happy. He came and he embraced him. And he said, you should stay at my place and you will get nice prasadam. Please have nice darshan of the lotus-eyed Lord Jagannath. And then he was given a nice cottage, and he stayed there. And again, he used to make very nice, tasty dishes and invite Chaitanya to his room and nicely feed him. And it was 8 months now. And then Chaitanya, in fact, he meets Chaitanya Mahaprabhu again. And, uh, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gives him a very good advice. He says, your parents are devotees, the great devotees of Lord. I think they need your help. You should go there, recite Bhagavatam, help them nicely practice devotional service, and he sends him back to Varanasi. Raghunath Bhatta comes to Varanasi. He meets his parents. Every day he recites Bhagavatam. And of course, their parents are Vaishnavas. And by serving Vaishnavas, we get to grow spiritually. And hence he also served the parents. And till the end, he helped them so that they can practice devotional service peacefully. In fact, in Bhagavad Gita, 17th chapter, Krishna also says there is austerity of body. There are austerities of body, and he said one of the austerities is we have to offer our respects to Guru, to the Supreme Lord, to the Vaishnavas, to the Brahmanas, and to the worthy elders like devotee parents. So this is the culture which Vedic society is teaching us. So that is why it is very, very important. And Chaitanya, as I said, Chaitanya himself has demonstrated. In fact, this is there in Adi Leela, this shloka is there in Adi Leela. He tells Raghunath Bhatta, Vriddha Mata Pitara Yai Karaha Sevana Vaishnava Pasha Bhagavata Kara Adhyayana. He says, when you return home, serve your aged father and mother who are devotees, and try to read and study Srimad Bhagavatam from pure Vaishnava who has realized God. You see? So that is why it is important that parents also become devotees and children also are trained in devotional service. So this was the Varnashrama system, and then a king was trained to culture the society in such a way that all these wonderful aspects are naturally developed. And this world is very unpredictable. We don't know when issues happen, natural calamities, diseases, personal problems, so many issues. And in fact, the king also should make sure that people are trained to face all this and practice spiritual life. There was a viral video that was circulated. People, it was in the airport, people sat in the flight. Flight was about to take off, and then it could not take off because of some technical fault. They're all getting agitated. Some people started shouting. The cabin crew tried to control their emotions. They are also trained well how to deal with such emotions. They tried, it went out of control. They started yelling, and the captain himself had to come. He tried to pacify. And one passenger was so angry. And the captain asked, "No, what can we do? This is a situation beyond our control." He said, "You should burn this plane immediately." You see, this is it's called spur of the moment reaction. You know, that anger has come. The fact is situation beyond control. But the emotions have come and it has burst out. And everybody is unhappy. Somebody said, please don't agitate Captain. He has to drive the plane. So, we face situation like this. We get so many urges. How do we control this urge to not to get angry, urge not to get attracted to wrong things? We get diseased because we eat junk food which we are not supposed to take. Urges, how do you control these urges? Urge of tongue, urge of mind, urge of anger. In Bhagavad Gita, in chapter 5, Krishna gives an very interesting solution. In chapter 5, text number 8 and 9, Krishna says, Naiva kinchin karomiti yukta manyeta tattvavita pashan shrunan sprishan jigran ashnan gachan swapan shwasan. Krishna is telling somebody who's yuktaha manyate, who is in divine consciousness, who's trained spiritually, it is said, he is although engaged in Pashyan, Shrunan, Sprishan, Jigran, he's seeing, he's hearing, he's touching, he's smelling, he's eating. Although he's engaged in all this, he feels that the material senses are engaged and he is aloof from them. It's a very interesting solution. I will explain to you. Prabhupada very nicely explains. It is just like you are in a car, you're driving a car, and then you realize there is no fuel. So you go to probably a petrol station, you fill the you fill the tank. So you know that your car's tank is being filled. You are not being filled. Correct? Or you're driving and the tire got punctured. You know that your car's tire got punctured. You are not punctured. You are happy, you are good. In the same way, Krishna is telling these urges are generated in the body. These urges belong to the body. It is nothing to do with you. You are the spirit soul. Attraction for objects, it is generated in the body. Attraction for opposite gender, it is generated in the body. Just like in the plane, that anger is generated in the body. But you are above this body. You have to see this. You have to analyze in this way. If you think this anger, this trouble, this urge, this liking is yours, then you want it. You want to indulge in it. There won't be any discrimination. But the moment you see it is not mine, it is, these urges belong to my body. So when the plane is not able to take off, body is generating the urge to get angry, burn the plane, anger. You should think it's urge from the body, but I am the spirit soul above this body. The moment you understand, you perceive in this way, what is the next step? So urge is generated. How do I respond? Urge has come. How do I respond? Just like there is no fuel, I'm getting indication there is no fuel. How do I respond? Not that I become angry. No, I go to the petrol station and fill and solve the issue. How do I respond? Respond in a Vaishnava way. Respond as per the Shastras. Respond with rationalization. It's a very different perception. And this is also one of the management techniques. Many management gurus also teach this. They say, the moment an urge comes, you have to tolerate it for 90 seconds. You have to tolerate it for 90 seconds, and then the urge goes away. Again it comes, again tolerate, again tolerate. In the first 90 seconds, if you try to indulge, if you're trying to dwell on it, then the 90 becomes lifelong. Just like that person, when he got the urge to speak, that 90 seconds he should have controlled. Of course, they say that is why you chant, you count from 1 to 10, so that you divert, that's how you control. To some extent, they will be successful because although they've seen that this technique has worked, what they don't know is, okay, even why this technique has worked, it is because the urge is not of the spirit soul. The urge is because of the body. But the only issue here is these urges keep coming if you are not properly trained. The root cause of these urges cannot be nullified by this artificial means. Yeah, temporarily he will get relief. 90 seconds, yes, but it keeps on coming and bothering. The spiritual way is by practicing Krishna consciousness, it will destroy the root cause of these urges. And then any challenging situation in your life, you see it rationally, you see it intellectually, you see it without emotions. And that is how, you do it in a Shastric way, and hence there is good ending. There is happy ending. I want to read this sloka again in this context. Krishna is telling Arjuna, a person in divine consciousness, although engaged in seeing, hearing, touching, smelling, eating and so on, knows that the material senses are engaged and that he is aloof from them. Such a wonderful formula. Now for immediate relief, Krishna consciousness, you're chanting, it may take some time. So for you to control these urges for the first 90 seconds, management gurus say you chant 1, 2, 3, 4, but the problem is the root cause won't go away. What do? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. When you chant 1 to 10, immediately you might get some relief, but the tendency to stop that urge will not go away. When you chant Hare Krishna mantra, the tendency also will go away. That is the power of chanting. So the king used to make sure that people are also trained in all these aspects. I mean, there are hundreds of examples given in Bhagavatam. And then, you see, in spiritual life, we give spiritual solutions. Spiritual means it is beyond logic, reasoning. No doubt there is logic, reasoning, rational, no doubt it is there. It is even beyond that. Because our body cannot perceive everything. It cannot perceive every truth because we are limited. Our senses are not perfect. And that is why with all this logic, reasoning, rationalization, material things, we are not able to solve the problems. And hence Shastras recommend spiritual solutions. Spiritual means beyond solutions which are beyond the perception of this body. And that is why in this Prabhupada says, for us, who is the solution? Just like, when you play cards, there is something called trump card. Somebody gets a trump card, it is very advantageous. Who's that one person who can help us in all our needs? Who that one person? Krishna, correct? The Supreme Lord. And the Supreme Lord is so powerful. All of us have needs. Krishna has no needs. Krishna doesn't want anything from us, but Krishna wants to give us always. He is waiting. In fact, Arjuna, when he saw the Vishwarupa, he is describing, who is this Lord? He said, Krishna, you are Achyuta. Your position can never be lowered by any circumstance. You are Adi Yagna. You are the Lord of all the Yagnas. You are Adi Deva. You are the Lord of all the Lords, all the Devatas. You are Adi Karta. You are the Supreme Creator. You are Amita Vikrama. You have unlimited strength. You are Ananta. You are unlimited. There is no end to you. You are Ananta Rupa. You have unlimited forms. We can't count how many forms Krishna has. You are Ananta Virya. Unlimitedly potent. You are Aprameya. You are immeasurable. You are Arisudana. There is nobody in this world who can fight with you. You are Apratima Prabhava. Your potency is immeasurable. You are Atma Rama. You are self-satisfied. Even this is Krishna. Such a powerful Lord is waiting to help us. We have to just look at Him. I had been to one of our well-wishers' house, and I was talking to the well-wisher. The dog comes there. Her dog. And the dog keeps seeing that person. And then it barks. Immediately, the owner calls the maid servant. Hey, my dog is hungry. Get something to eat. And then it is fed nicely. And after some time it comes, no, I need your attention. Okay, the owner goes, nicely plays, pats with the dog, takes care, it's happy, again talking to me. You see? So, what is the qualification of the dog? It is just seeing the owner. In fact, the owner says, I come home every day because this fellow is hankering to see me. He is never satisfied. He always wants me. This is one reason I come home. Similarly, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, 11th chapter to Arjuna, he says, Yuddhasva jetasi rane sapatnan. Arjuna, simply fight. He didn't say, do it like this, do it intelligently, become an expert. This. No. Simply fight and you will vanquish your enemies. You see, how for devotees, Krishna will give personal care, personal attention and personal help. That Supreme Lord is ready to give. It is just that, just like the dog is always hankering to be with the owner, we should always hanker to be with the Lord. We should see the Lord. Correct? How do we see the Lord always? You are at work, you are traveling, you are not in temple, you are in temple. How do we see the Lord? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. You grab the attention of Lord by just chanting the Maha Mantra. Very simple process and very powerful process. So that is why Prabhupada says we need rulers who will inspire, who will be very tough on people so that they can practice spiritual life. And these rulers, they should be qualified. You see here, although Prabhupada uses the word, Bhagavatam uses the word, due to the termination of monarchical regimes, even this monarch should be qualified. Not that we are against democracy and then we are promoting monarchical. No, even the monarch has to be qualified. In the Bhagavatam, there is description of how the earth suffered. There was no proper food. There were a lot of famines. There were no proper minerals. Earth suffered during the reign of King Vena. So King Vena was, he was actually enthroned by the Brahmanas themselves. When Vena's father, Anga, went away to forest, there was vacancy. So Brahmana spoke to Anga's wife that your son Vena is there, he is the successor, and we hope he is trained well. Can we make him king? Yes. But King Vena turned out to be number one rogue. Because he was a big rogue, there was no other rogue in the society. No theft. Everybody was safe. Everything was legally, everything was going on well. But he was against Brahmanas. He never promoted spirituality. He declared himself as God. During those times, Brahmanas were powerful. And to the power of mantras, King Vena was assassinated. And then who's the next successor? They churned the body of Vena and then Prithu was born. When Prithu was born, he saw that the people were suffering. There was no proper food, there was famine, there were diseases. Then he questioned Mother Earth, why there is no proper produce? Then the Mother Earth said, people are exploiting me for their personal gratification. The Lord has given me a mandate to provide all facilities so that people take this and grow spiritually. They've forgotten spirituality and they're exploiting it and troubling me, and hence is this situation. Then King Prithu, as an ideal trained king, he assured that during his reign, people will become dharmic, they will follow the Shastras. And when he did it, it is said, what happened when Prithu made sure that everybody followed Shastras? Bhagavatam nicely says, Rishibir yachito bheje navanam parthivam vapuhu dugdemam oshadir viprastenayam sa ushattamaha. It is said when Supreme Lord entered the body of Prithu, he incarnated as Prithu, he cultivated land and he did very nice produce. And because people were dharmic, the earth was beautiful and attractive. You see, this is the power of a devotee king, a qualified king, a trained king. All these problems will go away, definitely. All right, we spoke about monarchy, we spoke about Varnashrama, we were speaking about qualified king. Let's come to the practical aspect. It should not be philosophical. Let's understand the practical aspect. Now, how do we get such rulers? Is it possible? Prabhupada has given a formula. In fact, in the year 1974, Prabhupada had encouraged devotees to start a political party called In God We Trust. Two of the devotees stood for civic elections in Los Angeles. And then while this was happening, people were criticizing, oh, you are using God and taken to politics. You kept God in the front and doing politics. And this conversations happens. Then Prabhupada says, what's wrong in it? They may say, but we want to put forward God's party. Why not? Everyone is godless party. We must put forward God's party. Our whole movement is to educate this atheistic, godless civilization to God consciousness. This is our movement. So we set up a party. In God we trust. So what is wrong in it? Prabhupada encouraged. There was a lot of criticism, but he encouraged. You see? Prabhupada were also worried about legal thieves. See, one is somebody comes, they steal, that is illegal. There are also legal thieves. As Bhagavatam said, the moment you use God's property, opulences for gratification, then you are a thief. Now, for example, killing of animals, it is not illegal. They are called legal thieves. It is legal in the eyes of the common man's law, in the eyes of the law of the land. But in the eyes of Lord, it is not legal. So Prabhupada wanted to set up a party and make sure that the desire of Lord is executed. Okay, now we set up a party and what happened? Well, it did not take off and Prabhupada dissolved the party. But at least he gave a clue. And how do we practically implement this now? Is it ever possible? Yes, it is possible. Prabhupada says, when people are not God conscious, when people's goal is sense gratification, they elect a leader who promotes sense gratification. So Prabhupada said, you should go to a place, make people devotees, that area should become devotees, and then one among them should be elected as a leader. And that is how the leaders are formed. So that is why we have a great responsibility. The responsibility is we have to give the message of Gita and Bhagavatam as presented by Srila Prabhupada to anybody and everybody we meet. We have to give. Don't worry whether they will take or not take. Prabhupada's message is very powerful. If somebody is not chanting Hare Krishna, it means they are not heard. How did you become devotee? It is because you heard. You hear. Correct? So you should hear. In the same way, we should chant Hare Krishna mantra nicely. We should deep study Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam. Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. We should continuously hear Bhagavatam, train ourselves and start talking. If you want to talk about Krishna, how will you give class? Don't worry. Simple formula. Hear Prabhupada's lecture, write down the points and talk. Very simple. When more and more people become God conscious, say in one area, when sizable people become God conscious, and one among them will stand for elections, and then he is elected. Imagine we have a Krishna conscious leader. The whole society will be transformed. So all of us, all of you have a responsibility to give this knowledge. You have to study and then give this knowledge to others. Srila Prabhupada says, if 10% of the population becomes Krishna conscious, the world will be peaceful. 10%. You can't achieve cent percent, not even 50%. He said 10%. If 10% become Krishna conscious, world will be peaceful. There won't be wars. This is the power of Krishna consciousness. Just like Shamika Rishi took the responsibility, all of us should take the responsibility on behalf of spiritual master to chant Hare Krishna nicely, to study Bhagavatam nicely, and also share our learnings to others, and thereby help in the overall development of society. The chanting of Hare Krishna will not only purify you, it will also purify the society. So all of us should be spiritually responsible. And this is the expectation of the Lord and the Acharyas. With this, I like to stop. Grantraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki. Jai.